So 3 things before we get started. I just want to make sure you own it, right? Give me the first one. Good. Stop doing what? Go ahead and take ownership of your life. It's yours. Don't nobody owe you nothing. I'm keeping it 100. Like, I don't mean nothing bad, but like, I'm doing it. Somebody text, E, where you at? I'm ministering. I can't answer your call right now. I don't talk to you for a month. Like, you got 2 types of friends. You got one group, you don't talk to them for a month because you grinding, and they like, oh, he grinding. You got the other group, oh, why he ain't called me? I'm like, what? You ain't called, you just, what's going on? You a taker. At no point did you pray. He ain't called me in a week, he must be refreshed. The Lord bless his refreshment. Like, you should want, if we cool, you should want me to get to 100% so I can have something to give you. You're trying to take the little 20% I got. I got 20 left. You like, let me get that too. So I need you to take full ownership of your life. I need you to stop blaming. Here's the deal. Even if they did it to you, you let them. You gave them permission to do it. It's some stuff, my son had hit me up and I was talking to his mom, and his mom was just like, yo, it's some stuff that people just don't even call me on. Like, for real, my wife, like, don't nobody ever call me for a ride. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wonder why they don't. She like, they don't even feel comfortable calling me for no ride. Like, can you scoop me and take me I need a ride to the bus station? She like, I don't never get them kind of calls. Because nothing about me say I'm giving you a ride to the bus. Ain't nothing on me to say that. You don't never look at me and like, I can get a ride from her. I look like I could borrow $200 from her. You don't never get that look when you see Didi that you can get $200. I'm talking to somebody, you like, why they keep calling me? Because some on you say call you. Some on you say I want to be abused. Some on you say it. You just brought, look, or what my wife will say, if you got 200 from me and you never call me again, that's your last, that's it. Me and you cool. If it costs $200 to get rid of you for the rest of your life, here go to 200. But don't ever call me again till I get my 200 back. So some of you in this room, you're giving people permission to abuse you, to talk to you like that. And you need to put up a new sign saying we under construction. 2019, it's a brand new year, just put under construction. Don't call me with that no more. Y'all ready? Come on, y'all ready? Yeah. Come on, y'all ready? Yeah. Praise God. Now you wait, let me see the calendars again. Let's start getting ready. God, I'm about to blow your mind here, right there. Put that there. Yeah. Oh, hallelujah. Put that right there. Yeah. All right. So God gave me this for you. John 21, 3-9. God put this in my spirit for you. Amen. He loves you so much. He loves you so much. And you think you going through it, God going through it with you living like that. He's so hurt. He didn't create you to be broke. He's so hurt. You're on your 3rd relationship. He's so hurt. He like, I need you to get this together. You so hurt. You've not experienced marital bliss and you've been married for a grip. God's so hurt. He was like, I want to bless you. Go read it for yourself. He said that I want to bless you.
My father was a pump operator at the city water plant, and he was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis when my brother and I were young. And even as a kid, I knew there were plenty of days when he was in pain. And I knew there were plenty of mornings when it was a struggle for him to simply get out of bed. But every morning, I watched my father wake up with a smile, grab his walker, prop himself up against the bathroom sink and slowly shave and button his uniform. And when he returned home after a long day's work, my brother and I would stand at the top of the stairs of our little apartment, patiently waiting to greet him, watching as he reached down to lift one leg and then the other to slowly climb his way into our arms. But despite these challenges, my dad hardly ever missed a day of work. He and my mom were determined to give me and my brother the kind of education they could only dream of.
What has been the best advice you received from your teacher or professor?
Oh, I've gotten a lot of great advice from teachers, mentors, professors throughout the years. So first of all, you gotta be open to taking some risks and not being afraid to fail. Failure is the key to success. So when you get to college, you got to raise your hand. You have to be engaged. Don't be the kid thinking, oh, I shouldn't be here, and maybe I'm not smart enough, and maybe, no. You are more than capable of going to college, being successful, and going on and doing whatever you want in life. I sit here because I am you all. There is no difference between me and you. working class kid, growing up on the south side of Chicago, growing up with doubts and fears, just like all of you all do. I know exactly how you all are feeling, and kids out there who are thinking, maybe I'm not ready, maybe I'm not good enough, maybe I can't afford it. But what teachers and mentors have told me is that yes, you can and you must. So get in there and be bold with your intelligence. Raise your hand, get support when you need it, and know that we all got here because somebody helped us. I want you all to stay true to the most real, most sincere, most authentic parts of yourselves. I want you to ask those basic questions. Who do you want to be? What inspires you? How do you want to give back? And then I want you to take a deep breath and trust yourselves to chart your own course and make your mark on the world. Maybe it feels like you're supposed to go to law school, but what you really want to do is teach little kids. Maybe your parents are expecting you to come back home after you graduate, but you're feeling a pull to travel the world. I want you to listen to those thoughts. I want you to act with both your mind, but also your heart. And no matter what path you choose, I want you to make sure it's you choosing it and not someone else.
There's still life in your dream. There's still life in your call. There's still life in your purpose. There's still life in what God has called you to do. His name is Steve Wynn. He is a billionaire, according to Forbes magazine. He lives in Las Vegas, Nevada, and he has made just billions of dollars off casinos that he owns and hotels. He's most famous as a builder. But I want to tell you something that happened to him that I think speaks to your life tonight. In 2001, he's a lover of art, and he bought a painting for $50 million. This painting is called Le Rêve, L-E-R-E-V-E, which in French is the dream, and that's a picture of it. He paid $50 million because it was painted in 1932 by a man by the name of Pablo Picasso, and he paid $50 million for that painting. 50 million, y'all. Not because he's just an art collector. He loved that painting because it was called The Dream. And it meant something emotionally to him because he said, when I started, I had nothing but a dream to build and to do something with my life. And that painting, I've always wanted to own it. And when he got it, he bought it for $50 million. He held on to it for 5 years. He would put it in the lobbies of his expensive hotels in Vegas, and the customers and the people who were there gambling or going to shows or just traveling and doing stuff, they would get to see The Dream in person by Picasso. Something happened just 5 years later. Even though he loved The Dream, he had a chance to get 2 other paintings that he had always wanted to own. And a man from New York City who is an investment banker named Cohen, Mr. Cohen, called him and said, I want to own The Dream and I will buy it from you. And they got to negotiating, and he said, I'll buy it for $139 million. 5 years later, he made, what is that, 80-something million dollars, $89 million off of this painting. And so Steve Wynn, because he so was emotionally attached to this painting, Steve Wynn said, I'm going to have a party before they take The Dream to New York City from Las Vegas. And they all came to the hotel where he was throwing this big party and everybody's having a big time. True story, Steve Wynn gets up and he has an eye disease and he has problems seeing. So he can't really measure distance well. And that night, to celebrate The Dream, he had it on an easel beside him, this painting. And he got to talking, and he moves his arms a lot. And as he was talking in front of some of the most famous and wealthy people in the world, he accidentally lost his equilibrium. He began to stumble, and when he did, he fell back, and to catch himself, his arm went against the painting that was on the easel, and he ripped his arm right through a $139 million dream. And the dream was torn. The dream was ripped. The dream was destroyed. People could not believe their eyes. He got on the phone and he called the man in New York City, and he said, I am so sorry. The dream has been destroyed. I had an accident. I don't know how I could have done it. I don't know how I could be, how I fell. I don't understand. I couldn't catch myself, and I messed the dream up as I was falling. But he said to that New York investor, don't worry, I want to buy it back from you. I will pay you what you paid me, $139 million. That must not get in anybody's hands, and you can't just take it now and because it's been damaged and put it in some back closet somewhere. I want that in my hands because I'm not just an art collector, Steve Wynn said. I am an art lover, and I must have it, and I'll lose $89 million if you will let me take the damaged dream.
And I was finally at a point in my life to where I had to literally live the scripture. I had to live James chapter 1 when it says, consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, when you face trials of many kind, because the testing of your faith goes on to produce perseverance, and perseverance must finish its race so that you may be complete and lacking nothing. I had to live it. I had to live the Romans 8:28 when it says, and we know that all things work to the good of those who love the Lord, who are called according to his will and his purpose. I had to live it. I had to live Jeremiah 29:11 when it says, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in the future. Inky, I need you to trust me. I'm like, oh, I need you to trust me. And then I started thinking about the day I got injured, and I went back, and I'm a detail guy, right? And so when I do something, I've never been the biggest, the fastest, the most strongest. Like, I've never been that guy. And so my advantage was always my work ethic, my attention to detail. And so when I showed up to play an opponent, I knew just about everything about him because that was my edge. And so I'm a routine guy. Like, I'll get up, eat oatmeal and banana, do it every single day. And my wife would be like, you need to eat an apple. I'm like, no, I need to stick to my routine. And when I went back and I analyzed the day, I'm looking at it from the time we left the hotel. And what I'm trying to see about the day that my career ended, I'm trying to see, was it anything different that happened other than my injury? And so I'm like, man, I got up at the same time. I was like, I did my push-ups at the same time. I'm like, when we got out to the stadium, I did my same pregame drills. I did that W drill. I did a couple of DB drills. I did the same drills. I'm like, man, I even listened to the same pregame music. Phil Collins, I can feel it coming in. That was my jam, right? That's that Phil Collins, I get ready to go, right? I even listened to the same song. And I get in the fourth quarter of a game, a little bit under 2 minutes left, and I make a tackle that I can literally make with my eyes closed, and 2 hours later, I'm in the emergency room, and I'm fighting for my life. And I wake up the next day, my career's over, almost lost my life, got a paralyzed right arm and hand, and my life has completely changed. And somehow, when Coach Foreman walked into the room and said, Inky, how are you doing? I said, Coach, I'm blessed. I'm good. I'm still alive. My career's ended, but Coach, I'm blessed. And so when I went back to the moment that I fell in love with the game of football, because I had to backtrack it to understand it, right? And when I went back to the moment that I fell in love with it, my situation and my circumstance made me fall in love with it, right? To the point to where I didn't start playing football on grass. I started playing football on concrete, right? I was playing in the street, pure passion, not too much wisdom. Right? Scarred up, bloody, getting at. I just loved it, right? Like, I always ask people, what happened to the passion? Like, what happened to the love? What happened to the dedication and determination and level of commitment that when a person said, I want to do it, and they first start, right? It's not built upon politics. It's not built upon validation. It's built solely upon, I love this, I'm going to do it, I'm going to give everything I got to it.
You must be intentional and specific about the type of growth you want. We talk all the time about having goals, but I'm talking about being specific and intentional. You show me somebody who goes to the gym and works out to get more fit and healthier compared to somebody who's going to the gym to hit a specific weight loss goal, a specific body fat percentage, wants to hit a specific number on the bench with a specific amount of reps. Those two people will be light years apart in terms of the growth of their body. One intentional and specific, one general and vague. What are your intentional, specific benchmarks you have with dates to achieve them? There must be a date, a deadline. Otherwise, it's a wish. What is the intentional, specific outcome and the deadline that it will be accomplished for? This puts your brain into hyperactive growth mode. It puts you into intentional mode. Specificity is the key to growth. And by the way, so is simplicity. You must execute, and your plan, the more simple it is, the more easy it is for you to execute. Having an intentional, specific, and simple growth plan leads to the biggest gains in your life. The next piece is you need to create momentum. And this is the final thing that I want to talk about in life. See, if we've all been ill before, if you've ever had the hardship that I have a parent right now who's got cancer. And the last thing I want that cancer to get is momentum, or to spread, as you know. And we've all seen this in the negative sense in a disease where someone gets a disease and it spreads. You get ill and it progresses and it gets momentum. You get an infection and it spreads. The worst thing you want is for something negative to get momentum. On the other hand, the best thing you can have moving towards something that's growing is momentum. In other words, when something is dying, we don't want that to get momentum. But growth, we need momentum. Momentum is the X factor nobody talks about in growth and in winning that I'm going to address last today. You have to create momentum. Momentum is what I call an invisible force that takes something good and makes it great. Takes something great and makes it extraordinary. Takes something extraordinary and makes it a max.
Of stretching out, of acting on my dream, and I don't know what that dream is for you. I can tell you that it's possible. No one could have convinced me that after just over 6 years, I will have my own book entitled Live Your Dreams. Just over 6 years, I will have 5 specials on public television. Just over 6 years, I've done motivational speaking for AT&T, Procter & Gamble, McDonald's Corporation, Xerox, IBM. Just over 6 years. I will now have my own talk show that will premiere on Monday, Labor Day. I'm saying to you, your dream is possible. Your dream is possible.
Short-term tactical thinking is the part of your brain that says, I should just finance this new car or this new watch or this new TV or whatever else, instead of actually saving and paying cash for something that you can actually afford. Short-term thinking encourages you to make short-term emotional decisions that hurt you in the long run. And they definitely don't move you toward your overall strategic goals. The more short-term decisions you make, decisions that are based on that immediate gratification, decisions based on quick emotional satisfaction, and even based on involuntary chemical releases in your body, that dopamine hit, the further from the path you will stray. So, what I'm saying is, don't do that. Instead, think strategic, think long-term, act strategic. Take action that improves your long-term position and moves you toward your long-term goals. How do you do that? First, figure out where you want to go. Figure out who you want to be. Figure out what you are trying to do with your life. Write them down. What are you saving for? What are you working toward? What kind of physical condition do you want to be in? What kind of relationships do you want to have? What skills are you trying to develop? And just like any leader, you have to explain to yourself the why. Why do you want to save money? Why do you want to be in that physical condition? Why do you want those relationships, or why do you want those skills? You are your own leader. Give yourself the mission and explain the why behind those goals. Write those things down in simple, clear, concise language. Read it before you go to bed. Read it when you wake up. Read it every day until it is embedded in your brain, consciously and subconsciously. And once you've written those things down, now with all this talk about strategic thinking, also know this: you need tactical wins.
Part of what feeds that hunger. You've got to develop a sense of urgency. Aurelia said, stop living your life like you have 1,000 years to live. In life, you're either here today and you're gone today. If there's something that you want to do and you can't do it all at one time, do just a little bit of it. I like what Robert Schuller says. He said, by the yard it's hard, but inch by inch, anything is a cinch. Do just a little bit of it. A friend of mine, Bobby Kerr, used to be a roommate. Bobby wanted to go into the area of public relations. He loved working with the public. Young lady he wanted to marry named Clarice. Bobby was a great procrastinator. Pretty soon the job where Bobby worked, they transferred him to another location. He went out to celebrate with the people on that new job site. And Bobby suffered a massive heart attack and died. Bobby didn't drink and didn't smoke, was under 40, and he died. Ask your question, how much time do you have left? How much time do you have left? When you start thinking about that, we don't know. We don't know. Bobby took all the greatness and all of the talent and all of his abilities to his grave with him. One of the things they could have put in parentheses under his name, he didn't use all his stuff. And most of us do that. Most of us don't use the stuff that we have brought into the universe. And we want to make a conscious, deliberate, determined effort to start living life with a sense of urgency and using what we've got, using ourselves up, sharing what we brought into the universe to share. Because if we don't, nobody else will. Stop wasting valuable time, knowing that if we begin to live our lives as if each day were our last, our lives will take on a whole new meaning. It take on a whole new expression, valuing each moment that we are blessed with.
So many questions are not a matter of morality. It's a question of being careless or careful, being cautious rather than reckless, but not too cautious. So it's kind of an interesting challenge. If you were so cautious driving on a two-way highway, every time a car came your way, you were troubled about thinking whether or not he was going to stay on his side of the line, that you pulled off the road, wait for him to pass, then got back on the road and continued your journey. We would call that a bit too cautious. It may take you 2 or 3 days to get to your destination. So you say somehow when the traffic's coming your way on a two-way highway, you must trust at least the law of averages that says I have a pretty good chance of arriving, even though there's not a guarantee that 1 out of 1,000 coming my way, I'll cross the line and it'll be the end. So we do have to be cautious but not too cautious and let those daily experiences lead us into a better life, a better month, a better year. I arrived on an airplane flight once and the flight attendant came on and said, ladies and gentlemen, you have now completed the safest part of your journey. From now on, it gets dangerous. Fasten your seatbelt. I thought that was interesting. You've now completed the safest part of your journey. According to statistics, for the miles covered, it's the safest way to go.
let's talk about what nobody wants to talk about. Who here has ever failed? Who's here has failed miserably at something you wanted to achieve? When you failed, why did you fail? Didn't have enough time, didn't have the right technology, didn't have the money, didn't have the contacts, had the wrong people. The people said we had the wrong leader. Everything you people have told me, I didn't have the technology, I didn't have the right contacts, I didn't have the time, I didn't have money. Everything you've told me, I didn't have enough Supreme Court justices. Those are resources. And so you're telling me I failed because I didn't have the resources. And I'm here to tell you what you already know. Resources are never the problem. It's a lack of resourcefulness is why you failed. Because the ultimate resources are emotional states. If you're creative enough, can you find the answer? Yes or no? If you're determined enough, can you find the breakthrough? Yes or no? If you're passionate and loving enough, can you get someone to help you? Yes or no? If there's no way that you're committed, can you find the money even if you don't have it? Yes or no? So I said creativity, decisiveness, passion, honesty, sincerity, love. These are the ultimate human resources. And when you engage these resources, you can get any other resource on earth. And I said, so you told me all the resources you're missing and you hypnotize yourself into believing that you don't have what you want because you don't have the resources, when the most successful people in history had no resources, but they were incredibly resourceful, so they got the resources. Resourcefulness is the ultimate resource. And if you don't have what you want, stop telling yourself the story because you don't have the money, you don't have the time. That's bullshit. It's because you haven't committed yourself where you would burn your boats. If you want to take the fucking island, burn your fucking boats, and you will take the island, because people, when they're going to either die or succeed, tend to succeed. But most of us give ourselves a way out, and that's why we don't have what we want. So if you and I really want to know what's going to take to get your dream and make it real, it's to stop all the things you told yourself that aren't. And I'm here to tell you what I said at the top of our discussion. 80% of success is psychology and 20% is mechanics. That's true of running your business. That's true of your intimate relationship. That's true of your body. That's true in your level of happiness. So you got to know the 20% because that gives you the edge, right? Those strategies. But you got to know the psychology. If you're in business right now, there's a few things. The chokehold on the growth of your business is you. It is not your people. It is the leader of this organization. The leader is the chokehold. And the chokehold comes in one of two forms. Your psychology. You think you've tried everything. You've tried everything but what fucking works. Or it's a skill that you're missing. Like you really are incredible at writing code, but you don't know shit about accounting and finance, and it's eating your business alive. Because I gotta tell you, 96% of all businesses in a 10-year period of time go under. Only 4% make it. By the way, make it doesn't mean that you succeed and have any money. It just means you're still standing. 4%. And by the way, after 10 years, you're set, right? There's no more challenges. If you got in a business and you're in it right now, I love you, I respect you as a brother or sister, and I know you're a crazy son of a bitch just like me. You have to be. Who gets in a sport where the longer you play, the more likely you die? You're a gladiator if you're in business. A gladiator goes out there and they know every time I go out I can die, and the longer I stay in the game, the more likely I die, but every day they go out to win. That takes an incredible psychology. But in that psychology, we bump onto limits, and that's what you got to shift. And if your psychology is solid, you got to say, where are the skills I'm missing? Because that's equally important. If you don't know how to market in the world we're in today, if you don't know the cutting edge of marketing, I'm only here today. I have the privilege to be with you here. I created a brand, and that's why I have the privilege to serve you. But that brand came because I realized early in my career, I can have the best ideas in the world, but they're going to die on my lips unless I can market them, unless I can build a brand. It is the most important thing today because the world is made up of commodities. The world is so competitive. If you're a commodity, if you're a race for the lowest price, you will be out of business within 10 years, probably more like 2 to 5. You have to have something that separates you from everybody else on earth, and until you find out that something, you will be stressed and you will be struggling. But everybody has it, or anybody can create it. That's my expertise. My companies, I started with 0. We do more than 5 billion with a B per year, my companies. Combined. How did you do that when it's not even your focus? We all have a set of belief systems, different kinds of beliefs, about if something happens, then it means something else. So for example, do we have rules for like what people do if they love us? Yes or no? So if a person loves you, then they what? They respect you. And by the way, does this person also then have a set of rules for if you respect them, then you, and they have look at them a certain way, don't raise your voice. If you respect me, then you don't raise your voice. If you respect me, then you tell me the truth. If you respect me, you follow what I'm saying here? And you know, the problem is all these rules are unconscious. What else? If a person loves you, they what? Trust you. Good. If a person loves you, then they communicate. If a person loves you, then they compromise. Now, some people's rules are, never in life do you compromise. To compromise is to give up your integrity. Some people's idea of integrity is if you compromise, then you have no integrity. A lot of us have rules that are absolutely totally unfair to us. For example, my favorite program I do is all on this destiny technology I developed, where I ask the question constantly, what makes people do what they do? And I started asking that question more intensely after a guy embezzled $250,000 from me, ran me $758,000 in debt. So I came up with all these incredible distinctions, and I refined them in the last 3 or 4 years by doing a research project. My research project is called Date with Destiny. What it is the most powerful program I do. I take only 100 people at a time. I've been doing this now for about 2.5 years. And before they even get there, I get about 18 pages from them on every emotion they ever feel, what triggers it for them, what they believe is most important in life, what they think their experiences in life were, and I analyze every single thing about this person I can. And we bring them in here and we find out what their core beliefs and values and rules are. Because that determines how you interpret your life, how you feel about it. Then we change that and change their whole life. So for example, if your highest value in life was security, you're going to make decisions differently than if your number one value is adventure, right? Well, if you had somebody's highest value security, the last one was adventure, one day you swap them, it might change their personality a little bit. It changes everything, everything. And we don't do it haphazardly, we find out what they want in their life, and we make sure their values are consistent with what they want. Because most people are being pulled in 2 different directions, right? They want to like be successful and they don't want to ever be rejected. Guess again. And most people are trying to meet 2 masters that can't be met, so they get pulled apart and they sabotage a lot of stuff. But the biggest challenge for people, I think, is their rules. Most people in life have wired their brain where it's really, really hard to feel good. Every upset you've ever had or you ever will have with another human being is a rules upset. You are not upset with a human being. You're upset with their rules because you have a different set of rules. So every upset you've ever had with another human being has been a rules upset. And whether we get pain or whether we get pleasure in any moment is not based on what happens, but our giving ourselves that pain and pleasure based upon our rules.
People don't have enough rules in their life for themselves. So for instance, I get out of bed in 10 minutes or less. Doesn't matter. And I don't want to. That's why I have the rule. Because I went through,
callous your mind.
Literally, I went through a period where I would lay in bed for 3 to 4 hours, awash in shame at my inability to get out of bed. And it just embarrassed me. And so I felt badly about myself. So I wanted to make a change. So I knew that I needed a bright line. So bright line, 10 minutes or less, you get out of bed. As soon as you realize you're awake, that's it. So, and the rule is more specific. It's like I have to have had at least 5 hours of sleep. But once you put the rule in place, then you just live by it. And that's how you earn credibility. Like right now, I don't feel the way telling you that I want to feel. This is a good moment. He's on my team. I'm pointing at him. This is a good moment. So I'm saying this and I don't feel good about saying it. Why? Because today, I don't know what happened. I got out of bed in 11 minutes and I was so
You literally time it?
Oh yeah.
I mean, from waking up to actually physically getting out of the bed?
Correct. My feet must be on the floor and I must be standing up before it ticks over into the 11th minute. And today, I don't know what happened. I was aware of the time. I knew I needed to get up. And for whatever reason, one of the minutes just went faster than I thought. And when I looked back, I was like, damn it. And so
I'm surprised you even made it here today then.
Right? Yeah. So now this comes into like knowing how to handle something like that. Like if you totally fall apart because you don't live up to one of your rules, you're violating another one of my rules, which is don't do anything that doesn't move you towards your goals. So it's like, yes, it is a part of my identity to confess this. So because I'm talking about it, I want to say it now to an audience. It's the only thing that will allow me to reset and be able to feel good about it again, because I don't lie when I miss it. I own it.
Well, look, if your biggest problem is it took you 11 minutes to get out of bed.
Sadly, that's not my biggest problem.
This is a high quality problem.
Right. Yes, very true. But my thing is people don't have the rules. And so I have other rules, for instance. I wear a size 32 pant. That's it. And so
no matter what your waist is.
No. I won't let my waist get out of line with that. So I use the pants as a way to guide. Now I would go down if I got so lean that I was, a 31. That's not a problem. But I'm not going to allow myself to go up. And it's super tempting, like especially around Christmas. I don't try to hold abs through the winter. So during Christmas, like right now, I do not have abs. So, and I'm totally fine with that. I switch a different part of my mentality. During the holidays, my wife and I definitely celebrate with food, and it's amazing, and I love it the most. So, but if that celebration took me up to like 32s don't fit anymore, I got to cut back because I have a rule. So it's like, that's how I keep myself in a lane. I keep myself from getting into trouble. I know the things that I accept for myself and what I don't accept for myself. And it's all like stated. It's very clear.
Stop doing the things that you know are wrong that you could stop doing. Right? So it's a fairly limited attempt. First of all, we're not going to say that you know what the good is or what the truth is in any ultimate sense. But we will presume that there are things that you're doing that for one reason or another you know are not in your best interests. There's something about them that you just know you should stop. They're kind of self-evident to you. Other things you're going to be doubtful about. You're not going to know which way is up and which way is down. But there are things that you're doing that you know you shouldn't do. Now, some of those you won't stop doing for whatever reason. You don't have the discipline, or maybe there's a secondary payoff, or you don't believe it's necessary, or it's too much of a sacrifice, or you're angry or resentful or afraid. Who knows? So forget about those for now. But there's another subset that you could stop doing. It might be a little thing. Well, that's fine. Stop doing it and see what happens. And what'll happen is your vision will clear a little bit. And then something else will pop up in your field of apprehension that you will also know you should stop doing, and that you could stop doing because you've strengthened yourself a bit by stopping doing the particular stupid thing that you were doing before. That just puts you together a little bit more. And you could do that repeatedly for an indefinite period of time. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to ever be able to formulate a clear and final picture of what constitutes the truth and the good, but it does mean that you'll be able to continually move away from what's untruth and what's bad. And, that's not a bad start.
This is a very crucial concept for me and for virtually all of us. It's this idea of taking your life in your own hands and being the kind of person that you choose to be, and understanding that everything that comes your way is an opportunity, is a blessing. And it wasn't until I learned how to celebrate virtually everything that came my way that I was able to transcend it. You see, everything that was given to us by God, whatever that is perfect. No one can deny the mountains are perfect and the rivers are perfect and the birds are perfect and the hippopotamuses are perfect and so on. This is just what was given to us. Everything else that you have on our planet, that we have on our planet, comes about as a result of thinking. Thought makes it so. All right? This microphone comes about as a result of thinking. Somebody imagines it. Somebody then tells somebody else, and it creates it. The dress that you're wearing, the shirt that the shoes that you have, the stage, these cameras. Everything that you see that wasn't given to us was created by man as a result of the way that we think, So what gets inside of us as a cell comes about as a result of the way that we choose to think in our lives. Very important principle to understand, because once you get a hold of thinking and that it creates everything that you have in your life, you can change and make it as absolutely perfect as you want it to be, because thought makes it so.
I started feeling like, I think everybody knows, I've moved my whole life on instinct, you know. I feel like now it's time to let the show go. I feel like it's time to move on because I've grown as much as I can grow. When I've grown as much as I can grow in a space, that's my instinct to move.
We have more power to influence our thoughts and our beliefs. And so there are a lot of tools and techniques out there that are resources. Like when I grew up, we didn't have any, we had no money, right? I had no education because I was very learning challenged. I didn't know anybody, right? So I feel like it's not, when people, that's where they'll go though. When there's a stopgap between where they are and where they want to be, they'll say, oh, I don't have the money, or I don't have the education, or I don't have the intelligence, I don't have the network, or anything else like that. And you know, what you know, as for all incredible success you've had and the value you've created for the world, is that it's not about resources, right? Because we know a lot of people who didn't have any resources that were able to impact the world. It's about our internal resources. And what I'm saying is optimizing our environment, optimizing our behaviors, our capabilities, our beliefs and our values, and our identity, right? At the highest level, our identity, because you can't just change your belief or your values or your behavior even if you don't believe you're that kind of person. You know, that's why I kind of always go to the superhero mythos, because I want people to claim that identity. I call it the superhero you, that version of ourselves, that we're not waiting for Superman or Batman or Wonder Woman. It's like, you are Wonder Woman, you are Batman, you are Superman. It's just we have to commit ourselves to be able to unleash you.